let me tell you about those pumpkin cinnamon rolls. They are amazing. First, I made the dough. I just put some milk in a saucepan with vegetable oil and sugar. Then I stirred it together and heated it up until it was really hot but not quite boiling. Then I removed the pan from the heat and let it cool a bit. Then I sprinkled on some active dry yeast and let it sit for about 5 minutes. Then I stirred in pumpkin puree and just let it sit. Then it was on to the dry ingredients. Now in a separate bowl, I added flour, ground cinnamon, ground nutmeg, and ground ginger. Then I stirred it all together and sprinkled it into the saucepan. When everything was all stirred together, I covered the saucepan with a towel and set it aside in a warm place to rise for about an hour. And when it was all risen, it was time to move on to stage 2. Oh, look at that dough. It is so bubbly and puffy. It pretty much doubled in size. Now I'm just gonna finish it off and add half a cup of more flour, a generous ½ teaspoon of baking powder, a scant ½ teaspoon of baking soda, and ½ teaspoon of salt. And then I'll just stir this addition of the dry ingredients into this puffy dough. Without this final addition of flour, the dough would be way too sticky. So it's nice to give it a chance to rise and then finish it off with just a little more flour. Okay, I've got it pressed into a rough rectangle shape. I'll give it one more sprinkle of flour, and then I'll use the rolling pin to roll it into a nice big rectangle. Now I have a stick of melted butter, and I'll just drizzle it all over the dough. It's all covered in melted butter. So now I need to sprinkle on the sugar and spice. And boy, is it nice. It's just white sugar, brown sugar, cinnamon, nutmeg, and ground ginger all mixed together. Okay, now this just gets sprinkled all over the butter. I want to do it in a nice even coating. Okay, now I have a whole bunch of finely chopped pecans, and I'll just sprinkle those all over. Okay, so now it's just about rolling them up. I use a bit of a typewriter motion, going back and forth with my fingers, rolling the dough toward me tightly so it's nice and neat. The seam gets pinched closed, and the trick is to turn the roll over so the seam is facing down. Then it gets cut into ½ slices, which go into buttered pans. This amount of dough makes 3 pans, 2 for Pastor Ken and 1 for my family. Then after the rolls have risen for about 20 minutes, it's time to bake them. They go into a 375-degree oven for 15 to 18 minutes. While the rolls finish baking, I'm gonna make a delicious frosting to go over the top. Now it starts with 8 ounces of cream cheese. Now along with the cream cheese, it's powdered sugar, whole milk, melted butter, a pinch of salt, and it all gets beaten together until it's nice and smooth. I always like to ice cinnamon rolls right when they come out of the oven. When they're nice and warm, they just suck up all that beautiful, beautiful icing. I'll get a big blob right in the middle of each one. Oh, that was a mighty big blob right there. It does look like a lot of icing, but as the rolls sit, it's gonna settle down into the crevices. Oh, man. Now I'll just grab some of the chopped pecans and sprinkle them all over the frosting. All right, that's 1 pan for my family, 2 for Pastor Ken. I predict he is gonna love these.